Hi, Laney. It's Allison. You responded primarily that, well, your sole answer focus was that we will not see post-Islamic society like we see post or moral relativism in Europe. And I agree with you. I think that I don't even think that's what the authors in this week's reading or even last week's have alluded to. You also said that you do not think that Islam is capable of democracy. That I disagree with based on what I've learned in the readings the last 2 weeks. This is still a developing opinion, so but I'll do my best to tell you why. You also developed or presented 3 factors why we will not see post-Islamic society. And you said the first was history, then the perception, and then the fear. So I'm going to start with history. The authors this week discuss the history of Islam and basically say it's not the history that's the problem. It's not the medieval time. It's more recent radicalization that has occurred that is the problem. And so I think that history, at least from what I'm learning, states that Sharia law and the benefit of the community and the contract between the people, that was all a part of Islam, that was a part of what made it so attractive. So History both supports and refutes such a claim because it depends on how far back we go. I think that that's a huge part of the conversation with Ansari and with Lewis, understanding the historical context of Islam and where it began, where it went, and then where it is now. Most of the authors talked about 2 things: a return to the original meanings, the original precepts, and all of that of Islam. And then there is that historical return to a more fundamentalist or Islamist form of religion. And so anyway, so there's the historical part. The perception part, I understand that perceptions do play a role. I do believe that perceptions can be overcome. I believe those can be educated or re-educated or whatever. And then you talked about fear. And I agree with you there that fear is a problem, that fear is a hindrance, and it is the fear that we are pushing democracy as an alternative to Islam, that it is a religion rather than a governmental process. I apologize, I don't feel like I have the best word for that. I agree with you that we're not going to see a post-Islamic state. I don't believe it's because it's not compatible with democracy, though. When you discuss the issue of moral relativism, that's where I think we're not headed, because the authors, even those who were explaining the viewpoints of other authors, which was really the point of these essays, and then Ansari's view is that in Islam, embracing democracy is not necessarily going to lead to moral relativism. That I agree with. According to him and to some of the enlightened thinkers that are represented in these essays, the issue is staying Muslim. The issue is that Islam will function better, that it will be more prosperous if we democratized. So anyway, I kind of see a little bit of a difference there with respect to democracy and moral relativism. I don't think democracy led to moral relativism because democracy was in place even before then. The other issue then is also the difference between liberty and justice and what freedom has meant in the past, and that's what the authors talked about too. I wanted to talk a little bit about that on the historical part. History with respect to liberty and justice and freedom in the Muslim faith has not meant the same thing in the West or vice versa. And so I think you talked a little bit about monarchical succession, and it made me think how authors last week talked about a gradual process, that we can't force this. It can't be put upon people, and we certainly can't do it within a specific timeline. And I think that's where we see some of the current conflict, is that we're pushing the process. The reason that democracy is failing is because of how it's being forced, and how there's not even time to develop Sharia law, which is what the authors want to do. They want to see it in an embracing and a union between Sharia law and democracy. They believe it's possible, but due to how we push the issue and how we've done that historically, we see failure. So thank you so much for your post, and as always, appreciate your opinion and your thoughts. Thanks. Bye.